Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, America? It's your boy, Jay Sims the Lion. I'm back. Saturday morning last week, and I was out and about and traveling the world. Had to go down there and see my mama and welcome her, bring her in her 75th birthday. Had a good old time down in my hometown of Seaport, Savannah, Georgia. And now we back live on Saturday with none other than your man's Doc. What's going on, bro?
Yo, Jay Sims the Lion, man. I'm glad to be back. The dynamic duo hooking up once again. Well, Wonder Twin Powers.
Hey, activate. Yes, sir. For the whole heads out there.
Yes, sir.
You can bring them back in the next Spider-Man movie.
Okay, Wonder Twins.
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm pretty good, man. I'm glad to be back in here again. We look forward to this every week. Just a chance to get together. We're going to talk about stuff, man, to try to figure this stuff out. There was a time when the world made sense, and now you get up in the morning and it don't make sense at all.
You know, I was thinking about that. I kind of had that conversation with myself. You know, that we say things like that. It was a time when the world made sense, but I wonder if people our age were saying the same thing 20 years ago or 30 years ago. They was like, there was a time when the world made sense. I think it's all the world makes sense. It's just the eyes you're looking through.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we looking. You know, everybody has a little bit of nostalgia, and we all think, oh, when we grew up was the best time. No, you was just a kid that didn't have no bills.
Hey, bills change everything.
Bills change your perspective. You know, it wasn't that great when you was a kid. The same worries we have now, our parents had then. We just didn't have them because we weren't adults yet.
True. Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. But I mean, nowadays, man, things fast. Everything fast.
Things fast. World is different.
You got to adapt. Man, there was a thing that I read, and it was talking about the adultification of children.
Mm-hmm.
And how nowadays children are not children, but they're mini adults.
Right.
If you look at the clothes they wear, the things that we teach them in school, they're like mini adults. So there's going to be a time when it's like no more children stuff. It's all mini adult stuff. And that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we thinking that stuff ain't quite working right.
I think a large part of that issue is as adults, we don't want to spend time doing kid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember when I was a child, there were things that I know were done strictly for my enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Things that were done strictly for, I needed some type of enrichment, things like that. But I look back now and I know my mother couldn't have enjoyed it as an adult.
Right.
But she did it to make sure I had what I was supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we've gotten into this more I and me culture, people are less willing to do that.
That's true. I think that's true. And I fought, being a business major myself, I fought business and marketing too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if people show any little interest in something, they're going to throw it out there, man, and they go at it 100, to make sure they get all the money. And that's what's happening, man. They're trying to get all the money.
There are no other concerns from corporations than maximize the dollar.
Oh, of course, man.
Like they don't care who it hurts. They don't care. Look at YouTube and Facebook. You create every three regular posts you see an advertisement.
Oh, of course, man. Everything got a dollar value, man. I was telling somebody, there's a career in insurance called an actuary.
Mm-hmm.
And what actuaries do is they assign dollar values to stuff. That's how they can figure out how much money to pay for something. Like if your car get wrecked, how much the fender costs.
Right.
But guess what else? If it's a plane crash, that actuary assign values to how much people's lives are worth. And the younger you are, or if your parents went to college, or if you were a doctor or something like that, your impact to society would have been greater. You worth more money. I mean, you have a dollar value associated with you. That's crazy. So I think that's where the businesses get it from too, man. Everything got a dollar value on it. How can you quantify unquantifiable stuff?
Well, you know what they said, and I was watching a thing called The Social Dilemma, and the guy says if it's free, it's because you're the product. Anything you're consuming
Yeah,
that's free, you're the product. So
that's
that
true.
basically means yes, you can get it. You can get this for free,
Yep.
i.e., Facebook, Instagram, but we're going to market you to all the
Mhm.
advertisers.
That's true. That is true, man. You the product. That's it,
Yeah.
man. That's it.
There is
Well,
no product. You're the product.
yeah. And once we start knowing that and thinking about ourselves like that, then you can make better decisions, man. You can
And that's how
guide
you have to think
yourself in
about
a
it.
way.
You got to think about it. You have to think everything is business. We take something that was long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knew it was a business transaction, and somewhere in the last 100 years or so, it's become about feelings. Marriage
Oh yeah. Yeah.
is a business transaction, and people start going and looking back at it like
Mm-hmm.
business. They'll probably have more success instead of this Disney princess kind of world we live in, where everybody looking for this magical, mythical thing called love,
Yeah.
which will be great to have, but if you got it, you can't. It's not going to work without the business end being taken care of.
Well, look at this though. It's kind of like I'm all for love and marriage. I mean, that make you feel good and make you want to keep going. But the thing is, it's kind of like when kids want to have dessert for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
It's the icing on the cake, and they want the whole breakfast to be the cake,
Mm-hmm.
but don't want to eat the substantive stuff that matter. And
Right.
that's what's happening with marriage these days. It's like people don't realize the other stuff that goes into it. They just want the icing. They want the cake.
Right.
They want the dessert. I mean, hey, I think I'm well qualified to speak in this because I'm going on 20 years myself. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
So I done been there and done that. Highs, lows, roller coasters, fast, slow, all of it.
Right.
We done had it.
Yeah, but see, you and your lady, y'all understood the business of marriage. The business of marriage was them 2 kids y'all got,
Oh yeah.
and
Everybody
building
got a job.
some wealth and some ownership and having something to pass on and building legacy over generations. But most of us, we get anything it is about our feelings and our love and all that good stuff, and once those little initial feelings is gone, once them little butterflies are gone, we forget
Yeah.
about the world of business we have to handle.
You know what? I'm gonna share something with you, man. And this happened recently in terms of this business part of marriage. My wife, well, she knows she has some medical issues going on. So, she's been suffering from this thing for a while. And it's at the point till they restricted her from working. So I'm holding it down right now. And she told me, you know what, you're doing a really good job at keeping us afloat. You're doing a really good job at making sure everything getting taken care of and that, we are surviving. But she said, well, what do you think? How are we going to move forward? And when she said that, it just clicked something. So that's the value of having, a wife or somebody else there, because they can tell you those things like that. Because when a warrior fight the battle, that's why it's something called I got you 6.
Mm-hmm.
I got you 6. So in game, when Captain America was up there and Falcon came up, he said, check your 6. I'm on your 6, Cap. So somebody got your back, and my wife had that. So that made me start thinking, okay, how am I going to do this stuff? How am I going to jump us ahead? So y'all stay tuned. I got some real good content for that coming out on the Book of Man YouTube, Book of Man Facebook. We're going to talk about credit, investments, rental properties. We're going to talk about everything, and I'm going to take you through it. And if you want to do it with me, you can join me because we're going to do it together. So stay tuned.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, and that just goes into how we raising, each of our children and the tools that I think in large part our generation has learned that we must put on our kids.
Yeah.
I think previous generations were really survival for the most part. They were just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we finally to the point where at least a large number of us are no longer trying to survive.
Yeah.
We no longer surviving. Let's actually thrive. And we realize we got to teach our children things to help them thrive in life. Because we've been so strong in surviving, we lost a lot of the old stuff that was common that helped us thrive. We lost how to build relationships with one another. We lost how to build community and growth. All of those, as we got into this I got to get mine, I got to come up mode. All of the community things that would have really helped us come up have been lost. Marriage, people don't go outside and communicating and fellowshipping together anymore. No. It's a whole, it's a very solo. My come up, and if you are in a family, I'm worried about my family in my house, and we really got away from the group concept.
That's true.
And when everyone knows, every other culture in the world, the way they amassed, what they have is through group economics. Or at least every culture that's come to America, the only way you've successfully increased yourself is through group economics.
That's true.
Look here. He right.
See, there you go.
And that's what we got to do. We got to get back to that kind of stuff. But let's not get off on a rant, off a tangent. Well, we got a couple topics today.
You know what? But what we just talked about kind of flow into what we was one of our topics for this morning. Here we go. I think I put it up on the post as something a little bit different. Should we teach our son to hide themselves or to shrink themselves?
Okay, Doc.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and define shrink themselves for the people, just so we all on the same page.
All right. So when I say shrink themselves, what I'm talking about is conforming to a certain expectation of yourself. If you are a man going into a women's clothing store with your wife or girlfriend, you may not want to make the other women in there feel uncomfortable because of your presence. So you may, sit somewhere in a corner or, don't really make eye contact with anybody, just to try to appear non-threatening. So that's what I mean by shrink, just to try to mute yourself in certain situations so other people feel safe or more comfortable.
Well, let me ask you, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. In a situation like you just described, going into a woman's clothing store, I feel like that might be the right move in that situation. Could you give me some situations, some places where you would feel like a person may shrink themselves, but not necessarily should have to?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw something up on the screen. It's a recent current event, and everybody got different feelings about it. But let me put it on up here. I'm gonna add this to the screen. Let me move this out the way so y'all can see. And I'm gonna throw it up so big. No, I don't like that. We're gonna do it like this. This is from CNN. Black Panther director Ryan Coogler speaks out about it mistakenly suspected of attempted robbery. And if we look at this thing, of course, there's some writing there, but let me read it to you real quick. Ryan Coogler was detained by police in January after being mistaken for a bank robber. The Black Panther director was in Atlanta, attempting to make a withdrawal from his account with Bank of America. The teller received an alert on his account, according to the police report, because the amount he wanted to withdraw was more than $10,000. And the teller notified the superior that she thought Coogler was trying to rob the bank, and they called 911. And on his note, on his withdrawal slip, he said he wanted the money to be counted discreetly, given the amount. So then they came in and they put him in cuffs, but later let him go. In this situation, he should not have to shrink himself, but I see why.
So where do you think
was to no avail?
Where do you think he shrink himself?
Well, with the with asking for the money to be counted discreetly, I used to work in a bank for a few years, and I was the teller supervisor, and I worked in a place called Bel Air, Florida. Okay. Bel Air is right beside Clearwater, which is right next to Tampa Bay. My branch was in the middle of the golf course. As a matter of fact, one of my customers was Hulk Hogan. I would see him regularly. He would come to the bank and, say, I need $10,000 from my account. I need $12,000 from my account. And I would just go into the vault and give it to him.
Right.
And that's not uncommon. The only reason people don't want to really deal with a number that's over $9,999.99 because it's federal paperwork to go with it if you withdraw more than that.
Right.
Of course, they knew that, but they still gave him a hard time and thought it was something that was unbecoming. So in this instance, did he think because he was Ryan Coogler, director of Fruit Valley Station, Creed, Black Panther, graduate from California State, Time Person of the Year runner-up, that he shouldn't have to shrink himself, that they should know who he is and give him the benefit of the doubt?
I feel like I don't think he went into it with the attitude that you know who he is. I don't think most directors think people recognize them outside of the industry.
Right.
So I don't believe that's part of it. I do think he was probably more of, I didn't want anybody to know how much money I was walking out of here with.
Oh yeah. Now that's one part that I failed to mention.
Yeah. So I think that's the main reason he said discreetly. He would rather her count it to the side or count it to the back.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody saw her counting out $10,000, $15,000 to hand to me and know I'm walking out the bank with that much cash on me.
Oh, for certain.
So that might have been more why he said it be discreetly. However, they have withdrawal slips.
Yeah.
So what I don't understand is why he didn't just write out a withdrawal slip and hand it to the lady. And this is why I say no, he shouldn't even thought that he had to shrink himself at all, because he just would have handled the transaction as normal. You know, he wouldn't have had a problem. I'm sure he was trying to write the note to keep so he wouldn't be saying things out loud and people overhear what he was saying.
Yeah. Well,
that was the thought of, that's why I get to the shrinking myself, that I'm going to try to sneak I'm handling actual true business, but I'm going to sneak my true business because I don't want to alert anybody.
Well,
I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, who is this black man with all this cash? I don't want anybody to think, oh, he got 10,000, let me rob him. No, you shouldn't have to live a life.
But watch this, though. Watch this. Because I saw a piece of evidence this morning that changed my mind about the whole thing and further highlighted how wrong the person was. They have, and a lot of Bank of Americas, I bank with them, and you really don't have to fill out a deposit slip.
Right.
You go in there, you put your debit card in the thing, show your ID to give you the money. They treat it like a debit card swipe.
Right.
But now he filled out a deposit slip, and at the bottom of the deposit slip, there's a spot where you can write how you want your money. You might say, you know, I want 500s and 420s or something like that.
Right.
That's what he wrote the note. So he followed the protocol.
Right.
He did everything he was supposed to do. But for some reason, after this man identified himself, the person that was the bank teller, you know, told the supervisor, call the cops. Why? They saw his account. They know this man make millions. He probably ain't even touched his Black Panther money yet. I mean, $1.3 billion. Black Panther grossed $1.3 billion.
And we don't know what kind of deal he had, but I hope he had a good one.
Well, hey, it was so good he got Black Panther too.
Yeah.
So
I know he got a good deal on this one. So, okay. As far as shrinking themselves, no, we should not teach our black sons to shrink themselves. I do think we have to teach them very well how to handle themselves you can't be the same, you can't do all the same things in every room you go in. Like it's a way you act when you go to church. It's a way you act when you go to the bank. It's a way you act when you're at school. It's a way you act when you're in the library. So I don't think we teach them to shrink themselves. Right. You teach them to be all of themselves, but you still teach them to have, you know, decorum and be a gentleman and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, and those rules change depending on the place you're at, the place you are.
Listen to this. For a while, I taught at a charter school. So I had the pleasure of working with and teaching a lot of white kids some black kids, Indian kids, you know, all over the spectrum. And at this school, there wasn't very many black people.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, I count 5, including me, the bookkeeper, and the 3 black students.
Dang.
One of, and out of almost 300 kids, well, it's actually 268 kids. 5 black people. So I was teaching 5th grade with another gentleman, and we were at recess. And one of the black boys was in my class, 5th grade. And, you know, they go out there, they play tag, stuff like that. And they just kind of, you know, play with everybody. Boys and girls play together, they tagging one another. So what happens is one of the little white girls got tagged. And she comes over to me and my co-teacher crying, saying that she doesn't feel safe with the black boy and that she feels threatened. And as she's saying this, 3 more white girls come up and they all turn on the tears and start crying, saying how they all don't feel safe. I dig into the situation, and you know why they say they didn't feel safe?
Why?
Because he runs faster than them and they can't tag him back. Yeah. That's when I saw it. I saw the power of weaponized tears and how they turn it on and off. So let's apply that to this question.
Wow.
Because this is a situation where that young man should not have to have shrunk himself.
Right.
He runs.
It's a kid.
He's playing the game with other kids. And I'm going to tell you what was even worse. The other teachers that were around wanted to punish the boy.
For what? For running? For playing
He's
like
not
a kid?
playing fair. He's he knows he's faster than them, or
Well,
he
then
shouldn't be playing with them.
So it's his fault.
Yes.
He was born with a little bit more athleticism than the average white girl.
Yes.
That's
And
not
if
hard
I
to do.
if I wasn't there and my partner wasn't there, he would have been in trouble
Yeah.
every single time. So should we teach our boys to shrink themselves for their own safety?
No, no, hell no. Okay. I think what is paramount is for us as men, you know, namely black men, to put ourselves in areas where we can affect our children and help ourselves and help our younger and our current brothers.
Right.
The problem isn't us having to shrink ourselves to be in certain. The problem is we aren't in those environments. There aren't enough black men in the school. So you know how lucky that kid was that there was a black man there?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what. You know, my son just got approved to go to charter school here in Atlanta.
Okay.
I'm not sending him.
Right.
And I'm the one who signed him up, and I still chose not to send him because what I realized, the school he in right now, when you pull up to the school, it's a black resource officer.
Right.
The guy, I don't know what his job is inside the school because I don't know, because you know the pandemic, you couldn't come to school as much and all that kind of stuff. It's another guy directing the traffic, so I don't know what he teach or whatever. So that's right. Both of them black men. So that's 2 black men I ain't got in the building yet. Go in the building, the counselor, a black man.
Okay.
It's a black teacher on every grade. It's a black male teacher on every grade level.
Okay.
My son's staying in that school. Because we're there.
Right.
I want my son to be in an environment where we are. So he come home to a black man and he go to school and there's black men there maintaining what we teach.
That's true.
So he doesn't ever have to feel like he has to shrink himself because we're there and we support him and he knows we're behind him. So no, we shouldn't teach our black sons to shrink themselves. We should teach our black sons that we're there to support them so they can be as big as they want to be.
All right, man. So, all right, what about this? With the definition of shrinking themselves, how does that align with conforming? I think about a podcast thing that I saw. Actually, it was Kevin Samuels, and he was talking about this was his video to young black men, and they was calling in, and he was telling them stuff, and he was talking about if they wanted to be successful in the corporate world, that they would have to change their appearance. They would have to conform to what the corporate expectations was, such as cutting the locks off, or not wearing Jordans and sweatpants all the time.
Okay.
And the people argued back about that. I should be able to do what I want to do. So should we teach our black sons to conform in certain situations?
Okay, I like this question. I got a couple of different responses. First of them,
All right.
Do you want any of that shit you trying to work at?
Hold on.
That's the first thing I feel like. The first thing is, do you own it? You don't own nothing. How you gonna tell somebody who owns something how they should let people be in? You want to work from? You trying to get that job? You gonna tell them those folks want a person that look and act and do and be a certain way? You gonna tell them folks they got to accept you to come work at their job so they can give you some money?
Yeah,
that's a reach. That's a strong reach right there, young brothers. So that's my first part of that. And the second part of that is get the job, take care of yourself, take care of your family, get high enough where you can affect the change. Everything doesn't have to be for you, brother. You can do stuff that's for the ones coming behind you.
So true.
Don't bite the bullet and conform and then act like you never were the young person. Bite the bullet, conform, and change it so the next young person don't have to fight the same fight you fought. That's our biggest problem. We selfish as hell.
Yes.
We want shit to be easy for us right now.
Yeah.
We don't have that luxury, people. Black men, we don't have the luxury of being fucking comfortable.
That's where I was trying to get to. What I wanted to say is that, we can't be comfortable. And I find myself teaching my son and the boys that I teach that they have to navigate the world.
Right.
Now, when I say navigate is a verb. It's something that you have to do. You have to actively navigate the world. You have to try to look ahead to see what's going to happen. You got to look behind you to see what you did, to see how it affected you. You got to think laterally so you can move around the world. I'm going to share another story with you, man. At the same charter school, we was on this charter bus because, they had chartered a trip for the kids to go up to Charleston to see the battleship, the naval battleship. Huge thing. Yeah. It was cool. I liked it. So some parents was there. And during this time, that's when on Tybee Island, they had this whole thing about the Airbnb and that the young black boy rented the house.
Right.
And he got caught. The police came and arrested him. And as they was retelling the story, now it was a white lady and two white men. You know what happened as they described this story, talking amongst themselves? The same thing that happened with them young white girls. It started off with the truth, and then it started to expand. This gentleman, they said, he probably was a convicted felon. Yeah, he was a convicted felon. Yeah, they probably had guns. He had guns. He was dangerous. They should have got him out. But none of that was true.
Nope.
And I was the one, I said, the news didn't say that. The police report didn't say that. So where you getting that from? And of course, they tried to throw that to the side. So what I'm trying to eventually lead myself to is that the people in power have certain opinions of us. And it's always going to go to the negative. So should we conform to certain things to save ourselves from a certain amount of trouble? Should our boys in school, because I do this right now, not talk back so much so they won't get put out of school?
Well, all of the kids talk back too much. And no, the kids should stop talking back so much because that's disrespectful to the adults in the room and your teachers who's trying to help you.
Yep.
Far too many. If the kids talking back all class, when they gonna get taught? If the teacher got to go back and forth with every student,
yep,
conforming or behaving and having some self-discipline is not shrinking yourself. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the people who are the most successful in life are generally the most disciplined people.
Yes.
There's very few undisciplined, lazy, don't strategize, don't think, don't understand, don't have situational awareness people who are wealthy and successful and do anything of major concern in any type of leadership field who aren't well and extremely disciplined.
Right.
The general is a general for a reason. He's done some things to get there. He's generally going to look better than all the other soldiers he has. He's sharp, he's clean, he's high and tight. It's a reason the general is the general.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the general was a lieutenant, and then a captain, and then a major. He had to follow all the steps to get to where he was at. So there are always rules and regulations to anything you do.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean shrink yourself. You be as big and as bold of yourself as you can be within the rules of whatever you're taking part of. You knew what the rules were when you got there. You know, if they tell you, hey, man, you can be in the NBA, but here in the NBA, we want you to, show up on time every day. You be like, man, I'm still gonna get in enough practice. Keep showing up late, see what happens to you.
Okay, you think you're more valuable. You're gonna be on the pine, and eventually you're gonna be at the pine at your house.
Exactly. So it's just there's all. What is it? You have to learn to do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do.
Right. So, well, what do we teach our boys then? Because I find myself, teaching my son I tell him certain things, to try to make his life easier.
Right. You supposed to
like be aware of your surroundings, watch people. And honestly, I mean, this might be wrong, but no, it ain't wrong. Don't trust anybody. I tell my kids, don't trust anybody. Everybody has an ulterior motive. Everybody got some kind of motive, whether it be something to benefit them or something to get you out.
You've been reading that book. I can hear that book in you. You're reading that 48 Laws.
Hey, man, you know it. But it's true. That's what I teach them. I teach them that. So this is what I'm getting to. So let's say, for instance, you walking in this store with your wife, girlfriend, whoever, this women's store, and they following you around the store. Mm-hmm. Now, some people want to do extra things just because they notice they're being followed. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll pick stuff up on purpose they ain't even looking at, just to make the person become more agitated. I think it's the vindictiveness in all of us.
Yes.
But you know what I teach them? Don't think people there just doing their job. Don't trust them, because everybody out to get you in one way or another. And it benefit them to get you out because they feel uncomfortable. So either A, you just going to leave the store and not go back, or you're going to ask them, can I help you? And put them on the spot.
Yep.
So should we teach our black sons that they have to do stuff like that? Because you know what? Our white counterparts, they don't. Matter of fact, some of our girls, they don't. They don't have to do that. I find myself I teach my son things, and then I feel guilty about it later because I'm like, I shouldn't have to teach him that. I shouldn't have to, but I do. I mean, there's so many things, man. There's so many things.
So, are we telling our sons to shrink themselves for their survival?
Mm.
Are we telling our sons to shrink themselves so they be left alone? Are we telling our sons to shrink themselves to make their life easy?
I want you to reiterate the question one more time.
I said, are we telling our sons to shrink themselves to make their life easy? We want them. Is that what we preparing our sons and our sons for? Easy lives?
Mm.
Huh? Is that what we should be training them for? To live life easy? Or should we be preparing them to live life true? Should we be preparing them to live life to the fullest? And I don't know if an easy life is the fullest life. I know I didn't achieve any success until I started doing what was hard to do. When I started making myself do the stuff I didn't want to do. Damn the easy thing.
Well, that's a good question. A real good question. I think as parents, we want our children not to have to suffer through things. I think we want them to not make the pitfalls that we made or endure the things that we did. But at the same time, we do want them to be able to navigate life and to have a full life. You know, I made a video months ago. Well, actually, it was probably last year, called Offensive Life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I told you the story before about how everybody always says that defense wins games, especially in football. Defense wins games. But when you only playing defense, the best thing you can get is a tie game.
Mm-hmm.
But with offense, when you lead an offensive life, you can run the score up and win.
Mm-hmm.
An overwhelming offense can crush almost any defense. So let me put that in the context. A defensive life is just what you described. You know, we teaching them how to make everything easy. You know, don't wear hoods when you go into a store.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your hands in your pockets when you're walking around the store. Don't open packages in the store. But then that's stuff everybody else do because they need to know what's in a box, or maybe they're cold. So that's them leading a defensive life, and they won't get the benefit that they need to get. I mean, you can apply that to plenty of other situations. So I agree with you, man. I do, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I'm afraid. You know, my son, that boy's the truth. That boy is the truth. I'm going to tell you. You're talking about somebody who is sharp in the mind and will say exactly what he think and structure it in such a way where you can't argue back. Something that's crafty. I know he's going to get in a lot of trouble. He's going to get in a whole bunch of trouble. I mean, he doesn't have that attitude, but he's going to get in a lot of trouble. So I think instead of teaching him how not to use his gifts, how to suppress them, I got to teach him how to use his gifts in a responsible way and how to get himself out of trouble once he do use them.
All right. What it sounds like to me, you what you just did is a word. It's a word. I know the word parenting. That's parenting, sir.
Oh,
Boy, look like a professor.
That's what that is. That's parenting. What you're doing right there with your son is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep,
that's parenting, sir. Good job. Good job. I'm glad you figured that one out. You got two of them over there. I need you to do that job right.
Hey, okay. But you know what, though?
Everybody ain't us.
Everybody ain't us, man. Everybody don't do that. That's what we here trying to show them.
Right.
How we gonna do that?
That's the job. That's the hard part of parenting, is figuring out what do I teach my child to protect them? You know, I mean, it's three big P's in parenting. You know, provide, protect, and prepare.
Yeah.
Now, provide is an easy one. I just got to make sure it's food, lights, water, clothing. Get them 4 needs knocked out. That's the easy one.
Yeah.
You just got to go out there and do it. That protect and prepare, you got to muddle that line.
Yeah.
Because some things you just want to keep them all the way away from, 100% away from, but you know the world is going to demand it of them, so you still have to teach them to prepare for it.
True.
And navigating that line of protect and prepare is parenting.
Yep. You know, I think about the warrior. The thing about a warrior is that warriors always got to have a battle to fight. There are warriors that fight only when they need to. There are bloodlusted warriors that have to fight all the time. If they're not fighting, then they're not living.
Right.
So we have to help them discover what kind of warrior they want to be. Because the more times you go to battle, the more opportunities you have to get killed.
Right.
If your child is one of those warriors that have to fight all the time, like social justice warriors, you know, everything is an injustice and they are the ones that have to fight it. Right. Then you have to prepare them because, you know, when you fight, you're going to get hit sometimes and you can't get mad and try to backtrack after you got knocked upside the head.
You cannot.
You know what?
You can call me and I'm going to tell you to come visit me.
That's it.
And I'll get you back on course. Keep you straight in your ass and tell you to go to bed and wake up with a better attitude.
That's it.
Have a better attitude. They got to get a better attitude. They got to go see Mr. Larry. Don't be mad about it.
Don't be mad about it now.
But seriously though, man, I mean, it's like, what kind of warriors are we going to teach our sons to be?
Well, I think what you just described is what you have to do. You have to help your child realize who and what they want to be. Not tell them, but help them realize. And that might take some shaping and molding them on your behalf as a parent. Part of the job as a parent is being able to see beyond the wants and needs, the immediate wants of that child to make sure they have the long-term needs met. So if you teaching your child, then you're learning who they are and figuring out what they can do. And then you're just trying to guide them towards it. And if they are one of those bloodlust warriors, then you put them in something that they can fight all the time.
You got to point it. You got to direct it.
Yeah, our children are missiles. We are the guided system. They're the missile. Guided missile. They gonna go off somewhere.
Yeah.
But us as parents, we got to guide that thing to go off where it's going to do the most damage as far as the most effective part of their life with the least amount of collateral damage, which is keeping them from going where they want to go overall.
Man, you hit it right on the head with that, man. I love that. Love that.
It comes back to us as parents, man. We can't let our children be out here afraid. We also can't let them be out here stupid.
So what are some of the consequences for not teaching them to shrink themselves or to hide themselves? What can happen?
Well, you know, it's a million situations that a person, especially a young person, can find themselves in that can be have a negative influence on the course of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the major reasons we do teach quote unquote shrinking, is to help our children maybe avoid some of those things. But I think a lot of it still comes back on the parent and the person themselves because of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And the attitude that they've been taught, and even their level of respect and their manners and things like that can allow. It's kind of like this. I know I can say a lot of things other men can't say to women.
Right.
Because of the way I handle it and have conversation and the way I talk to you. I can get away with a lot somebody else might not be able to get away with it because of my attitude and my vernacular and the way I inflect the way I speak. I do this.
Mm-hmm.
Where another person might say the same exact thing that I said and get laughed out the room.
Right.
So you got to teach your children to do what they're trying to do, but be the guy or the girl, especially in the case of boys, but be the guy. People say, oh, now I get what he's saying, instead of the guy, and he always talking crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's on us to that's why you have to educate your son. They got to get what they can get in school, and us as men, they got to get what they got to get at home. They have to, and shrinking, and I think one of the biggest issues in our community, for some kind of way, we've gotten shrinking, a young man shrinking himself confused with discipline.
Okay.
We fail to discipline our children.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't want to take their voice. A child got to be able to speak and all of that stuff. Two different things.
Yeah. You got to teach them how to speak, when to speak. 48 laws of power.
48 laws of power. Don't teach your son to be, don't teach him to be a tough guy and not teach him how to guide it.
Yeah. You got to be able to control it. What I'm learning this year from working with middle school boys, and this is a theory that I have. What I've noticed is that middle school boys, they are at the age where their testosterone just starting,
mm-hmm.
and it's flowing, and they having this rush of emotions and feelings that they never felt before, and they don't know that they having it. They're just reacting. That's why they fight so much. They talk back so much. They do all because of the stuff flowing. Now, here's the unpopular part. There are some, I shouldn't even say that because it's kind of off top. I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care. Some of the misandrous people, the misandrous, women we see,
mm-hmm.
are like teenage boys. They have a bit of the power, but they don't know how to control it. So they do those things. That's where I think masculine energy in women comes from. It's like a teenage boy, and they don't have control. So what could happen if this boy doesn't learn to control this testosterone and these feelings quick? And because nobody can teach them how to do it, because they don't, other people like female teachers, they don't see it. They just see somebody that's misbehaving, but they don't know the struggle that goes on inside. We know it. And the only reason we know it is because we have that experience. So if we don't teach them how to control that, Jordan Peterson said, and I wish I had the video queued up, but he said, this is my advice to young men. He said, don't dull yourself. He said, matter of fact, become a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Become a monster and then learn to control it. And that's what we got to teach them. Be a monster in everything you do and then learn to control it. I tell my kids, I tell my son do some online gaming a lot. He game with some friends online. They play all kinds of stuff. And they have a saying for people that come out there and play hard all the time. They call them tryhards. And my son was like, I don't want to be a tryhard. So I told him, you need to be a tryhard in everything you do. Matter of fact, you try so hard every time is that when they see you, they say, oh, crap, there you go again. In everything you do. If you at school and you walk in the classroom, the teacher already know that you about to ace whatever they put in front of you.
Yep.
If you playing sports, just already know when you set foot on the court, it's going to be on. If you working a job, just already know as soon as you come in the door, it's about to be on. If you editing video like I do, when people see it, they're going to be like, God, damn, what that boy doing over there? Always try hard. So that's the opposite of shrinking yourself. Try hard 24/7. You don't let up. We don't let up.
It was Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do.
Oh.
So excellence is not an act, but a habit.
All right.
So that means if you're going to be excellent, you do everything excellent. You do everything as well as it can be done. Execute to the fullest on every single thing we do. You don't have an excellent game without excellent practice and excellent training.
You practice how you you play how you practice. Ain't that what they say?
Right. So everything we do, you must do as high. Yeah, you damn right. You told him to be a try hard. A try hard and a try all the damn time.
That's right. 24/7. Coming out the gate.
Out the gate. So, whatever people want to say, man, they can have it. I go back to the 3 P's. 3 little P's make 1 big P. Protect, provide, and prepare. If you do that as a parent, that equal the big P of parenting.
Right.
Parenthood. Those 3 little P's. And that's how and it takes what you talked about. Figuring out what's on either side of that coin, of preparing them and try to walk that line of making sure they get a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Son, I feel bad that you have to deal with this. Yeah. But this is how you handle it when it comes. For example, your heart gonna get broke at some point. You want to protect your child from that. This boy, girl, male, female, doesn't matter. You're gonna get your heart broken at some point.
Oh yeah.
And we know that as parents because we all been through it. So you want to protect your child from it, saying, "Don't you ever be with nobody."
You can't do that.
Can't do it
because they won't live a full life like that.
Right, but we all done said like, "Well, I can't." I'm scared of the day when they start boys and girls and all of that kind of stuff. We done all said all of that. And you know that going in, but you still pull your son to the side. You still pull your daughter to the side and say, "Hey, look, this how things gonna go like this. They're gonna go like that, and one of these times it's not gonna go your way."
Oh yeah, you can't win every time.
So I got to tell you what that's about too, and that's what life is. We can't tell our black sons to shrink themselves, but we still have to tell them, there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
The rule in the library is be quiet. You can't just go in the library and start talking loud because you feel like it, because you don't want to shrink yourself.
There you go. You can't. Man, I like that you said that, because every place got rules and regulations. And if you want the rules and regulations to be different, then make your own.
That's right. Make your own place or make yourself at the top of that place.
Okay. There you go, man. All right. So, you ready to switch gears?
Yes.
All right. Let's go ahead and switch these gears. If you're watching out there, if you watch the replay, or you happen to scroll by and see us on here on Facebook or YouTube, you can comment, you can share, you can throw the like up there. And if you're watching this live, click that link that you see up above, and you can join the conversation. Throw in your 2 cents, because your 2 cents may be more valuable than you think. So give us a like, give us a share, comment, join the conversation, book a man. On the topic number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here.
All right.
Are men stepping up and leading themselves? I have got a little video connected to this. So I'm going to throw it up on the screen right here, and we're going to take a look at it. All right. On TikTok, you can always find some stuff, and that's unfortunate, because if you search positive man, positive black man, whatever on Google, you'll never find it. You can't. But you go to TikTok where these men are making their own content and throwing it out there, you got it. So this gentleman here, men, it's time to step up and lead. So I'm going to go ahead and play it, then we're going to talk about it.
Man, if this doesn't need to be said, then I don't know what does. Majority of men have zero boundaries anymore. And they're allowing temptation to overtake them, which is a huge sign of mental weakness. And I know this because I've been there. And when men have zero boundaries, they get soft. And when men get soft, society falls apart. Take a look around you right now, what's happening. You know what zero boundaries are? Zero boundaries are overindulging in things that don't serve you. Internet porn, overindulging in alcohol, drunkenness, putting up with bad behavior, allowing people to walk all over you, not having self-respect, doing things that are not indicative of the person that you know that you truly are or capable of becoming. That's what zero boundaries are. And we're seeing this more now than ever. Men, it's time to step up and lead. Men are supposed to lead, but guess what happens when men don't lead? Somebody's got to pick up the slack. Who's picking up the slack? Women. Men, it's time to stand up and lead. Drop me a like, give me a comment.
He's right.
He said a whole bunch right there.
Yeah, he's right. It's definitely a seeming a lack of a male voice at all,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lack of men. You know, mostly a lot of these guys younger than us, 25 and down.
Right.
They've been brought up in a world that's really treated men, like a problem.
Yeah.
So, and then, almost like all men are bad, almost vibe they've been seeing their whole life. So if that's the baseline for them, that means us and a little before us already started getting the pieces of that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's just been a breakdown of what the idea of what a man has been. And at this point is so muddled and so confusing of what it is to be a real man. Nobody even knows.
But look at this, though. Who's defining what it is to be a man? Because guess who it's not?
Men.
Yeah. They're not defining that.
Nope.
And that's why it's up to us to teach our sons these things. But I like a lot of what this gentleman said.
I agree.
That's why you say leading yourself. I wrote down a couple things, man. Mental weakness and overindulgence. That's when we give into these feelings too much. I do think that we overindulge in a lot of stuff. Now, he named some things, but it's more than just that we overindulge in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, take a look at it. You know what? Honestly, I think some men overindulge too much in emotion.
Yes. Because how you feel right now is far less important than what needs to be done.
That keep you from doing what need to be done.
Exactly.
Because it's something called stoicism.
Mm-hmm.
Stoicism. If you don't know what it is, look it up. STOCISM. Stoicism. I may have to find a book about that. we can study that one. But sometimes you got to put your feelings to the side. You have to put your feelings to the side to do what got to be done. You got to stuff it down and you got to move. Now, the world will tell you that men need to share their feelings more, that, black men don't talk about how they feel. But if we sat there and talked about how we felt, nothing to get done.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody is outside making a commotion, banging on your door trying to get in, if your feelings are being scared, your other feelings get in the way, ain't nobody gonna go out there and handle it. Let the other members of your family be afraid. I told my family this a couple weeks ago, I guess, or a couple months ago. Something happened and they said, yeah, Dad don't care about that. And I had to tell them, it's not that I don't care, but I don't have time to care. Because when stuff starts going down, somebody got to think clearly. Somebody got to get the job done. So while y'all sitting there running around in circles, covering up your ears and your eyes, I'm analyzing the situation to see what's up. Because you know what? And this is a funny thing. They always tease me. My family always tease me. I mean, we have a good time with it.
Yeah.
But when stuff happen, let's say if it's a loud sound happen, and we in public, you know what they do? Their first thing to do is run. I don't run first. I analyze what's going on so I can better protect them.
Yeah.
So overindulging in emotion makes you ineffective. Now, I'm not saying you don't need to have emotion at all. You still got to have that. But it's ineffective, man.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It don't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter how you feel. It matters what you do.
That's right.
You know, you got to get.
Hey, you see
feelings? Feelings. Yeah, I see it. Feelings.
So my wife is watching. She is watching.
Feelings. We all got to have them, but it's almost like for us as men, you can get them feelings after you pay for it. You got to pay for the right to have feelings. How the cost of your feelings is everybody else's comfort. What I mean, when you two and your feelings as a man, everybody else loses. You know, your wife loses, your sons lose, your daughter lose.
Right.
Our feelings cost their comfort. We got to be able to put our feelings to the side and make sure they're comfortable. Make sure they're straight. You know, you got to earn enough money to have some feelings. You got to put enough time in to have some feelings. That's if true. You're going to put it before what needs to be done.
Well, it's a time and place for everything.
Right. So what needs to be done you have to learn to control your feelings so you can get what needs to be done.
Yeah, I think that when I say it's a time and place for it, I'm not saying don't have them, but you got to have them afterwards.
Yeah.
You got to have them after you do what you got to do. Now, some people would say that that's not healthy. Some people would say that that's the reason why men are the way that they are, because we hold stuff in too much. Mm-hmm. And to some degree, that may be true. Mm-hmm. But we got to get the job done.
Listen, I tell you what. Why don't you go ask that plumber that's crawling through shit to fix your damn house so you can use the bathroom how he feels. Ask him how he feel right now.
Yeah. You don't have time.
He's gonna tell you, I don't feel like crawling through your shit. That's what he's gonna say.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. But you know what? But back, to the question, and I wrote this down now. And this is where we came up with the title, our men stepping up and leading themselves. He talked about overindulgence. Again, I'm gonna revisit this. I think in one of the other shows we talked about being drunk. Mm-hmm. And not being drunk from alcohol, but being drunk from everything else, our other vices that takes away from your leadership potential.
Yep.
We often get drunk and addicted to work.
Yes.
We do that a lot. But but then that's related to doing what we have to do. But there's more to life. And you are more than just working. I saw Dr. Tiason Johnson. I love this guy. He's a professor of Africana Studies at Fresno State. And he always talks about a study by a man called Tommy Curry. And Tommy Curry wrote a book called The Man Not, where it says that it redefines what a man is. And it takes a strong look at how we carry ourselves and the things that we do. So we have to get to know that, because we have to lead ourselves before we can lead everybody else.
Yeah.
You must lead yourself. That's the number one thing. This man talked about drunkenness and self-respect. I wrote that down. Self-respect, man. Let's land on that for a minute. The whole self-respect thing. So when you think about the average young man, do you think he has self-respect?
No.
Okay.
I don't think the average young man has been taught to truly respect himself. Not in our community. I think we have a serious issue with that. So no, I don't think the average young man in our community walks around with a lot of self-respect. No.
Okay, then. Well, what does that self-respect look like? I mean, what is it? What does it look like? Like when a young man has self-respect?
So when you have self-respect, you want to allow other people to treat you with disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you have standards and you won't even allow people around you with trash standards because of your self-respect.
Right.
Because you will respect yourself enough to protect your space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm focused on this. I'm trying to do this. I want to do this. You protect yourself enough. Your self-respect will keep you. This person is going to stop me from doing here. That person or that activity is going to stop me from doing this. And our kids grow up so lost and with so little self-respect, they'll go for anything.
Okay. Yes, like I said earlier, man. I told my kids, don't trust it. Everybody got a motive. You got to find out what it is.
Right.
You got to find out what the motive is. And that's important. That's very important. But I think that with self-respect, I think that we don't know what self-respect is. We just following what happens in the world. They're following what everybody else is doing. There's nobody there to teach them what self-respect is.
Correct. And you're not, that's the biggest issue is a lack of preparing being done.
Mm-hmm.
And part of raising a child and parenting a child is teaching that child to have some self-worth and self-respect.
Right.
Because that's the first thing that's going to keep a person from allowing nonsense to enter their world. That's why you got self-respect is so rare. You got fathers and sons online holding guns and representing gangs together.
Yeah.
And all the way to the other side with women, you got mothers and daughters online in thongs doing twerk videos.
Yeah.
Nobody has any self-respect.
You're right.
Either way, we glorifying bullshit because we don't have enough self-respect. So no, the average male in this community does not have self-respect. I didn't get mine until I was too old to understand I lost it for so long.
You're right, man. It take time to build that up, especially since we don't have guides. And this is the reason why I say this. As a father of, older children, I can remember when my dad was my age.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of this stuff I'm figuring out. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. So he must have been trying to figure it out too.
And think about it now. And you are a well-educated man.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to some folks who had to figure it out with a lot less education.
Yeah.
And quote unquote all this other stuff we done learned and how smartphones and all this access to all this information we supposedly got. And we still failing to teach our kids some of the basic things they need to be well-rounded people. Not to mention the, unnatural and inhumane things we are subject to as Black folk.
Right. So I think it's important to lead ourselves.
Yeah.
First, you got to know where you're going before you're trying to take other people there.
Exactly. And so a large part about manhood is about, can you set a goal, figure out what it takes to achieve that goal, and then actually put the steps in place to do it.
True. You got to act on it.
Yeah, you got to act on it. So, and all of that takes another thing he talked about having self-respect and self-control and self-discipline. In order to do all of that, you have to have those things. So if you don't have enough men out here leading society in those goals and leading their families, more important than society, the individual families to some kind of goal or some kind of forward step, then that means generation to generation, there's going to be less stability and less people available that can do that. And we'll have,
that's true.
And society, you know, you can say what you want to say about men, we still built society.
Yeah.
And we still 99% of the construction and labor workforce and that on that matter. So you gotta have some men with some strong that have to be able to say, fuck your feelings. And we gotta get this done. No, ain't nobody out here pouring concrete at 3 o'clock in the morning. Feel like pouring concrete at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No.
So that's the emotional bullshit. You got to be able to put that shit to the side, man. And let's get some shit done. And let's be men. Let's learn how to lead, and then let's be effective leaders for our households.
You know, that man also talked about personal values,
self-respect. You can't have personal values without self-respect.
You know, there are people that's willing to sell out their values.
Yeah.
You know, I think during our book study, I was talking about another video I had made called What's Your Currency? And everybody got a price. And it's not necessarily money. But people will sell themselves out for money.
Yeah.
They won't hold true to them. There's certain things that as a man you need to be able to say, I won't do this. I won't cross this line. Because we should be setting the tone for our families. There's certain things, you know, like I won't do that. I can't do that. But I think a lot of our young men don't have that because they'll do anything. They'll do anything for the dollar. They'll do it. Well, you know, I'm going to erase, scratch that. Not for the dollar, but for the attention. The likes and the thumbs up.
I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse. Doing it all for the money or doing it all for the likes.
Yeah, they both, you know, likes, it's like attention is a currency, but you can't spend it anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's that currency that you can't spend anywhere. Okay. So, you good?
It's hard to quantify that. You're right. But to a certain extent, it does have some value, I guess, to them. They have, it's kind of like Bitcoin. They've created a value behind it.
Yeah, that's true.
It just, it doesn't build into anything, meaning unlike Bitcoin or anything else that appreciates in value,
right?
Attention depreciates
by the minute,
by the moment. So yes, and they children being children are so, young people being young are so short-term minded that it's bigger than it. They can't see anything else.
True that, man. True that. I mean, so are men stepping up and leading themselves? I would say these days, the younger men, I don't think they are. And the older men, I think we just awakening. It's a new era where people are starting to become more self-aware. And I think we are starting to wake up and do that.
Yep.
And the longer this stuff goes on, the more men start to wake up. And I think eventually those young men will get to the point where they can lead themselves.
But will it be after too much damage is done?
You know what? All right. There's this thing called entropy. And the theory behind entropy is pretty much everything is decaying at an ongoing rate.
Right.
Everything is decaying. I mean, even as humans, our bodies, every second that we breathe in, our body is dying off. The universe is doing that. Everything does that. You get a new car, if entropy starts as soon as it's built. The more you drive it, the more it wears down. So will it be too late? Yeah, entropy happens. But at the same time, when that car starts wearing down, you take it to the mechanic and put new parts on it.
Mm-hmm.
When your body starts to die slowly, you exercise and diet, and some things get replaced. So the question is, can we replace what's being lost faster than it's losing?
Right now, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good right now.
But you know what? Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Then I'm gonna say.
Because even if you say about what you just said, that the young men don't know enough, or don't have enough respect and all of that stuff, aren't being leaders, and us as older men just waking up. That sounds like we 2 generations behind.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's connected to what you said earlier, though. How they coming out behind, right? Because society says that, you know, all men are predators,
right?
And that we're unnecessarily aggressive, and that, right, you know, we are bad and we have to prove ourselves to be good. So they're coming out behind, and they're not allowed to make their own way. Right. And for us, I mean, those things happen for us. You know, I like what I think Kevin Samuel said it. I heard Dr. T. Hassan Johnson said, a couple other people, about the color purpling of America. And what they mean by that is that when the movie Color Purple came out, it was pretty much based on things that are not true. It's a story, but people took it as true.
Mm-hmm.
And it has influenced how people treat one another and how they feel about the other. And I never could put my finger on it. I mean, it was one of those movies that people say that that's the must-watch black movie and that everybody should like it. But I never liked that movie. I never liked it. And I couldn't figure out why until recently. That it went against everything that I am.
Right.
And that's what these boys got they have to continue that. It's to the point where these young men are quoting things from that movie that's totally against who they are.
Yep.
They are being indoctrinated with something else. You know, I used the example the other week. It's kind of like if a baby hippo is orphaned.
Uh-huh.
And then the zoo may take and put her in the rhino pen. Rhinos and hippos kind of the same, a little bit, but they're not the same.
No.
And when that baby hippo is raised by the rhino, it thinks it's a rhino, but it's really a hippo. That's what's happening to our young men.
Yep.
They really hippos, instead of rhinos. So we have to try to reverse that. We have to beat the rate of entropy. We have to outpace entropy enough to make gains generation by generation, so it won't be too late.
Yeah. I don't know if we can do it, man. I think we got to do our part, and we're going to try to make it happen any way we can. But it's rough, man. You know, I'm not sure, man. It's a lot that needs to be done. And, you know, I take the blame along with every other man, you know, especially those older than myself. There's a lot of fatherhood that was missing out of our community. Right. So there's a lot of men, a lot of people who are adults right now, never raised in a house consistently with a man.
And that may also include, because this is a tough decision that we as fathers have to make, working, because we have to go to work. We got to provide. You know, you talked about the P's in parenting, and providing is one of them.
Yep.
You know, I had a dad and mom raised us both. but my dad had to work because my mom was sick. He had to do it, but that meant that he wasn't home.
Yep.
So with the rate of inflation, gas prices the way it is, I mean, people who have 2-parent homes, a lot of times not raised by 2 parents because one of them have to provide. And unfortunately, that's always going to be the man in every instance.
Mm-hmm.
Because we still have traditional values in many marriages, and a lot of wives won't put up with a man sitting at home.
And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Men don't have an issue with that, but we have to find this balance in current society between being more human than our barbarian ancestors,
Okay.
being more sensible and not want to hit nobody over the head with a club and drag them in the caves. We gotta be slightly more well-rounded than that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
While not losing that ability that makes us strong and gives us our purpose and our value. It's a reason men are competitive. It's how the world gets pushed forward.
That's true. That's true.
So we have to keep all of that, because that's part of what makes us leaders and makes us have self-respect and focus, is being able to find that purpose. That's what keeps a man guided in a way. That's why that's why the religion has been able to be used so effectively, because it gives people purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
So why some people
give you a framework.
Right, people gravitate to it. It gives them purpose and focus. If I do this and do this and do this, it gives them a path to walk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if we don't have enough men striving for something, then you're going to have men that can't be leaders and men that have no self-respect and no self-control, because they just been flying all over the damn place.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, listen, I am not a huge proponent of organized religion, but I would be a fool if I didn't recognize why it works so well and why the decline of organized religion may also be a part of the decline in,
the society.
The society and the communities, because one thing about organized religion, it did teach a certain order.
Yeah, it did.
And if people learn, that means you learn from the go about order and design and focus and goals, because you raised up in the church.
Yeah, and everybody had a purpose. They had a job, and they worked together.
And with something like that gone and nothing replacing it but garbage, like it was supposed to be replaced by enlightened thinking.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened.
Where you enlighten in a certain direction. Because, I mean, if you go back to biblical things, when it talk about husbands and wives, now it's about 2 or 3 verses in there that talk about what wives should do, love and respect your husbands. But when they talk about what husbands need to do, it's a whole bunch. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And taking a step back, thinking about my marriage and looking at that, I can see how it all fit together. I'm supposed to be the one that do providing and protecting. She's supposed to be the one that respect and teach. Because the more your lady respect you, the more you want to go out there and protect and provide. We wired like that.
Right.
I was telling my wife the other day that there's only one person on the face of the planet whose words can throw me off.
Battery
dying.
Yeah.
All right, let me plug that back up there. Yeah. All right. But yeah, it's hold on, let me change my camera right quick. Then we can get on and do what we gotta do. Okay. We're gonna hit up this one right here.
We done switched up on us.
Yeah, I had to do one out. I had to get me a battery pack for that camera. But anyway, Man, I lost my train of thought messing with this technology. But
Yeah.
anyway, man, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Yeah. So just overall, it's going to take more conversations with men like us.
Yeah.
Talking to the other young men and talking to the other fathers and making sure they become part of building a culture of leadership and quality men that have the values of a man that I do agree are missing from today's society. And I really hope we can work on that. And that's why we do what we do, why we continue to build this program and build this platform so we can help do our small part in making that happen. Go ahead.
True that. All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and shut it down. I'm going to go ahead and roll outro music, man, so we can do what we got to do.
I mean, thank y'all for joining us on Saturday. Thank you for watching the Book of Man. You know, we love you. We out. Have a great weekend.
Later.